Phil is with us in Michigan. Hi, Phil. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Thank you, Dave. Nice to talk with you, man. I kind of feel like I know you, listening to your podcast and
well, you
listening
do.
to the advice you're giving everybody.
You do. It's just me.
Hey.
How can I help today?
So I'm just to put it in a nutshell, I'm self-employed. So my income varies from year to year.
Sure.
So it's very difficult. I'm in sales, so I get a commission, and very difficult to budget. We've been doing great. We have everything paid off, my wife and I, except for our home.
Good.
We owe $80,000 on our house, and our house payment's only like $400 a month. I got a smoking good interest rate when the market was right. So, however, recently, like 2 years ago, she developed what's called a cerebral spinal fluid leak. And so she hasn't worked for over 2 years. Now, she does have, we went through the whole process. She has an incredible employer. And actually, as of right now, she's actually still on the books as being employed, which I just think is a blessing from God that they would go 2 years and keep her job for her. But so she's gotten short-term disability and long-term disability. We're now in the process of applying for Social Security disability. But the issue is she's 34 years old, and that's very difficult to get. Even though it's supposed to go on her function, they kind of look at her age, and it's kind of difficult to get the government to want to pay for something that long.
Yeah.
So a couple questions that I have for you is, number one, what's a good idea to try to have some sort of a consistent budget? And then number two, I've got probably about $20,000 in investments with this investor guy of ours. He's a wealth management investor, and he invests in mutual funds and all these different things. But basically what he does is he coordinates with my life insurance policy. He coordinates with my tax lady. He coordinates with any legal issues that I've got going on, or any, got a daughter who's a sophomore in college. So we tell him that we're going to maybe have a wedding coming up in hopefully never, but we want to be able to put some money towards that wedding. And he just kind of coordinates all of those things for us. We had probably around 40,000, but in the last couple of years, we've taken out 20,000 of it, just to help pay for her medical bills. We've been very healthy, so we've always been kind of like
what's your question,
Phil? How do I save for retirement, and how do I get a budget that's with a fluctuating income?
Okay. So what's your, in the last 5 years, what was your best year of income and your worst year of income?
Best year of income would have been probably 260, and the worst year would have been 40.
You really made $40,000?
Yeah.
Okay. What happened?
So as a distributor, I have different product lines that I sell to doctors and hospitals.
What happened?
And I lost some of those product lines. They've sold to other companies, or I'm unable to carry them now.
How often does that kind of thing happen?
I have 12 different product lines, so it's basically happening all the time, but I also have other product lines to pick up the slack. And about 2 years ago, when this whole thing started with my wife, we just had a mass exodus of product lines. So that was my worst year.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, what I would do is just monthly look into the future for 1 month and say, what is my worst case scenario in the coming 30 days? And that's, that we can predict fairly accurately. And you say, my worst case scenario in the coming 30 days is 15,000, probably going to be more like 25, but my worst case is 15. Okay, whatever the number is, I'm just making that up. Based on your worst case, you run down a normal budget. In other words, you take your worst case, say in the coming 30 days, I can accurately predict that I'm absolutely going to have $12,000, $15,000, whatever it is. Sounds like that number is realistic in your situation. then in that case you would do a regular budget as if you were on salary for that amount for this coming 30 days. Then you, in addition to that, you make a list of other things that you want to do or need to do that did not make the cut in that first round. In other words, I'd like to build this emergency fund up. I'd like to do some more retirement money. I'd like to do this or that. I'd like to set aside some money for a wedding. I'd like to do whatever. And then any additional money, and then you make a list of the things that didn't make the cut. You prioritize those and say the most important one of these is number one. The second most important is number two. The third most important is number three. And then when money comes in above that $12,000 or that $15,000, you use that money right down that list of priorities. Number one gets all of it until it's done. Number two gets all of it until it's done. And so we'll use, say, $12,000 was our baseline. We did a budget on $12,000, and we ended up making $18,000. So you got another $6,000, and you go down that list from one to whatever until you use up the $6,000. And that's called a prioritized spending plan. That's a form. The irregular income planning sheet is a form in the back of the financial peace materials or in the back of the Total Money Makeover book. It's all over the place online. It's a form we developed years ago. Now, sometimes people use the every dollar budget, and what they do is they just reset their budget as their income comes in above their baseline. But they set the initial thing up as a baseline, and then if they get that extra $6,000 in, they just make adjustments in their every dollar app to get on through and to make that happen. So, hey, good question. Thank you for joining us.